Is this what this is about?
You're a very passionate guy. I just kind of want to, I'm sure there's a couple of things out there.
Oh yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
There's a couple.
yeah,
There's a couple.
they're like, what idiots do this? But there's always bad advice out there, and I want to know what bad advice pisses you off the most.
Probably the biggest one. Okay, so let's just talk about image content first. My biggest pet peeve. Mm-hmm. And I've written probably 3 blogs about it. It absolutely drives me batshit crazy. So I'll see a business owner. Let me set the scene. It's a living room. Okay. And they're sitting on the couch, and on the coffee table is their laptop, and they have a cup of coffee in their hand, and one hand is on the computer on the laptop, and then their other hand's holding the coffee, and then their face is looking directly into the camera, because that makes sense. It's the most ridiculous frame, and I've seen it. I mean, probably 3-4 dozen times. Absolutely drives me insane, because either you're working and it's a lifestyle shot and it's candid and it's breaking the fourth wall, or it's a traditional portrait. You're on the couch, you're looking into the camera, making that contact. That kind of thing just it's sending mixed messages. It's complicated. There's no need for that, and it looks like shit. So that's that one. Then the other one is the either I'm so overjoyed and happy I have that big belly laugh. I like shooting big belly laughs. Yeah. I don't want to see 5 in a row on your social feed, though. That's one of those things where it's like you're going to share an amazing story in your life, or you're going to share an amazing client win, or whatever the story is that photo is visually punctuating. Mm-hmm. Once every now and then. But when it's every shot, that sucks. And then when it comes to the story elements, one of the things that I talk about a lot, and in fact I'm gearing up to write about it again, is regarding quote posts and regarding sharing famous quotes from people. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with that once in a blue, to be honest with you, because the reality is that it's not that it's a credibility thing. I mean, anyone can go online and grab like words of wisdom, and people do. Yeah. So it's not really special. But when it's in context of what you do, it does make sense every now and then. The thing that drives me nuts is seeing the business owners who do that every single post. And I'm not talking about they mix it in and it's photos of them and then they have selfies of other. No, it's just the quotes. To me, I find that to be very frustrating, because the whole point of your social media is to show off how you serve, not how Martin Luther King or Albert Einstein or anybody else famous thinks about, work and product. That stuff in, small measure is fine. Every single post. They're not hiring Albert Einstein. They're not digging him up from the grave to get his help to work on business. They're hiring you to get them off their ass to get to work. Yeah. So maybe you should share stuff that actually will make a difference in what they do in their lives and their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your hashtag, yeah, absolutely. Where did that come from?
Oh, I did mention before that I have a story about that. Well, yeah. The idea was the hashtag. Okay, so about a year ago, one of my colleagues, her name is Donna. She is a social media magician, and she has done a lot of work with me on how to repurpose and get myself out there. And we were having a strategy day, and she said to me, you need to get a hashtag. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why? And then she explained to me why. Now I understand why. But then I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's come up with something silly, or let's say photo, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And we did that for hours. And then we went on to other stuff. And then when we came back to it, she blurted out randomly, you say, yeah, absolutely a lot. Maybe you should go with that. My first response was, I do? And she said, yeah, you do. And I'm like, you know what? It's snappy. It's cool. I dig it. I think it'll be a cool way for me to punctuate pretty much every single thing I post on social because it's awesome. I really like the concept. Let's go with it. Mm-hmm. And I went home and I thought about it more. And I'm like, you know what? It's more than that. This thing means a lot more than that because just thinking about my life in the grand scheme when, as I mentioned before about my mother and going through that creative crisis and what I didn't mention before is that during that time, I was introduced to the personal development world, speakers and coaches helping people in their lives. And there was a lot of education there. There was a lot of learning. And what ended up happening is I kind of left this defeated, negative, pessimistic attitude that I had in the past. And, once I started my own business, I was kind of standing on my own 2 feet and kind of going through this whole transformation, not just as a business owner, but as a human being. Because when you become a business owner, you're forced to become a better human being, period. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're used to working on a team of like 75 people and now it's you, period. It forces you to learn a lot of stuff about yourself and life and just living. So then once I realized that and put that context with the yeah, absolutely hashtag, I fell in love with it. And now I walk around with T-shirts that say yeah, absolutely on it. And I talk about it all the time and I love it. And I love when people tag their stuff. Yeah, absolutely. It makes me happy.
Oh, that's awesome. So with everything that you've done and learned so far, what would you say has been the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, man. I know it sounds trite and it's cliche, but be yourself, in terms of just living and presenting yourself in your business and be yourself. I was very scared to do that at first with my content. And when I was called out by my consultant to do that, it forced me into a place where I realized that I'm not being myself in these things. That was a huge transition for me. And I think some of the I have received so much amazing advice and counsel and strategy with regard to personal development. I wouldn't know where to start with that, other than the fact that other people matter. We have the permission to be human, and it's important to show up in the world exactly the way you want. And the only person that's responsible for that to happen is you. So I would say that that's probably, I know that's more than one, but taken as a family of ideas, that's probably the best stuff. For sure.
Great. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. If the listeners would like to see your work and find out more about you and get a hold of you, where are the best places they can go to do that?
Well, so earlier I mentioned my website. Look up the yeah, absolutely hashtag. Mm-hmm. That all is definitely available. I would just say the other place would be Facebook. You can find me at DeMato Productions. And also, if there are any photographers in the audience listening, I just started a photography education community with a partner of mine who lives in the Netherlands. It's called Screw the Metadata. And basically what that community is, we're about to relaunch it actually. Pretty soon, but basically what it's about is creating a memorable and referable online presence and referable business as a photographer. So it's basically everything I just said for photographers to do the same thing, and that's screwthemetadata.com.
Perfect. I will make sure to put all of those links in the show notes so people can click right through.
Awesome.
Great. Well, again, John, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Yuri. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, Please go to advanceyourart.com where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.